Hey, I'm Ray, nurse, doula, and certified breastfeeding specialist here at Ruth Health. Today, we're going to go over some of the basics about breastfeeding and breastfeeding positions to keep you comfortable while feeding your baby. Because who can continue a breastfeeding relationship if you're dealing with back and shoulder pain the entire time? So, I'm going to grab some props and I'll be right back. So the first thing I want you to remember when breastfeeding your baby is that you need to be seated and supported in a comfortable position. Ideally, your chair has a nice supportive back and armrest, or you're sitting in bed and you're using pillows to support you. So there are so many different pillows out there that you can use to support for breastfeeding. There are pillows like this that just go around half of your body, or that you just use like along your sides or just right around the front. There are other pillows that wrap completely around your body, like the My Breast Friend pillow, which is personally one of my favorites. It has a nice little pocket so you can put your phone in there or a bottle of water. But it's totally fine if you don't have one of these specific nursing pillows, because you can just use regular pillows. You can use bed pillows or decorative pillows, and you can use it to prop up on the armrest if you need to rest your arm up a bit higher so that you aren't leaning over to the side in your chair. If you need to put a pillow in front of you so that you can lay your baby on top of it to raise your baby up. Because one thing that will definitely cause you a lot of back and shoulder pain is if you are leaning over trying to bring your breast to your baby instead of bringing the baby up to the breast. Let me show you. So this is what I mean. When you are nursing your baby, you want to be sitting up straight with your shoulders straight. You don't want to be leaning over trying to figure out how just to bring the breast to the baby. You want to be sitting up so that you're not causing yourself unnecessary back and shoulder pain. And you want to be comfortable because you need to focus on the latch. So it's really hard in the beginning to figure out how to get a good latch and be comfortable. But if you make sure that you are seated in a nice, comfortable position and you have your pillows for support beforehand, then when you go to latch your baby, you can focus on making sure that they have a nice, deep latch. And let me show you what that means. Okay, so think about when we are eating, we don't lean over to our plate and try to bring our mouth down to our plate. Essentially, we want to think about our breast as a plate or as like an item on a plate for our baby. We want to make sure that we are bringing their mouth up to that item instead of the other way around. So ideally, you want your baby to have the nipple and some of the areola. You'll hear some people say that your baby needs to have the nipple and areola in their mouths to have a good latch. Totally not the case for everybody. Some of us have larger areolas, and so our baby cannot get the entire areola in their mouth. But as long as your baby has the nipple and some of the areola in their mouth, then that is considered a nice deep latch. And when you're just starting your breastfeeding relationship, that is really important, because having a deep latch, having a good latch is key in your baby actually transferring milk and getting the milk that they need to grow, and also establishing your milk supply. So when you go to latch on your baby, you want to think about your breast as like a sandwich. You might have to squish it down a little bit with a C or a V hold to make sure that your baby can really latch on and get some of the nipple and some of the areola. So now that I've spent some time explaining deep latches and how to get comfortable, let's talk about some of the popular breastfeeding positions. Now, with each one of these positions, there are some similarities, and you want to make sure that your baby is primarily tummy to tummy. That helps them to feel nice, safe, and secure. If they are a little bit unsettled, it's always good to spend some time just tummy to tummy, kind of soothing them before you try to latch them on. That will save you a lot of pain and heartache. It's always easier to latch a baby that's not crying and hysterical than it is to latch on a hysterical baby, which is why it's so important to pay attention to those early signs of hunger. You also want to make sure that your baby's head is not turned all the way to this side or all the way to another side. Their head is in line as much as possible. I mean, think about if we were trying to drink something and we had our head and neck turned to this side. How hard would it be for you to swallow and drink and eat comfortably if you had to eat with your head turned from one side or to the other? So you want to make sure that your baby is aligned as much as possible. And one tip is that you can bring your nipple. And another tip is that if you are able to have them lined up, you can bring your nipple to their nose, and that will help them open their mouth wider. You tickle right here, right above their nose. It will help them, stimulate them to open their mouth wider to help get a nice deep latch. Going into the first position, I'm going to demonstrate a cradle hold. This often is like one of the first positions that people go to when they go to breastfeed their baby, because most of us have been taught to hold a baby just like this. So basically, the only thing is though, most of us were taught to cradle our baby's head right in the bend of our arm. That oftentimes will not work for breastfeeding, because now you have your baby all the way over here, and your nipples over here. So with cradle hold, you kind of want your baby's head to rest on your forearm. So you might need to shift their body around just a little bit so that their nose is more in line with your nipple. So like I mentioned, if you want to put a pillow underneath your arm or underneath your elbow in the chair, just so that your arm is supported, depending on how heavy your baby is. And then you have this free hand over here, just in case you need it, to do a C or V hold with your breast to be able to make sure that they get a nice deep latch. And if you need a pillow to support your baby's body up, if you're using this hand to support the latch, then that is totally fine too. You can take up just a plain pillow and slide it on this side while you're sitting down, and that can support your baby's weight, because you don't want to be holding up your baby's weight while you're also trying to feed them for 10, 15 minutes at a time. Unnecessary pressure and strain on your back and on your arms. You want to make sure that you're nice and comfortable. Now, alternatively, some people prefer to do a cross cradle hold, which instead of having this hand free that I'm waving around, you will actually be using this hand to support your baby. And please, if you're a parent to a newborn, I promise these positions may feel foreign in the beginning, but you'll be a pro in no time. Some people like to use this hand to support the baby. Of course, you can still have your pillows here if you like, and just wrap your head here. I actually liked doing this position better. It just helped me to see more. And then you can use this hand to support the latch, do the C and the V hold. You have a really good view of their nose, the nipple. That was always important for me in the beginning. Or you have this free hand to grab your water and drink it, because you need to stay hydrated while breastfeeding. So cradle and cross cradle holds are great for newborns and older. But if you've had a C-section, then those might not be the most comfortable position for you, because they're putting a lot of pressure on your abdomen, on that incision. That is not exactly what you want. So great position for those who have had a C-section would be the football hold. And instead of your baby laying tummy to tummy, you can still ensure that their tummy is facing inward towards the side of you, so they're still feeling nice and safe and secure. You have an amazing view of their nose, their mouth, the latch, and you're just using this hand again to support them. Again, you can put a pillow underneath your arm if you need to, and you have a free hand. Grab some water, use this hand to support the latch again. You just make sure that baby's body is in line. And football hold is a really good position for those who have had C-section Or if you have larger breasts and cradle holds just don't feel very natural to you, or if you feel like you just can't see well enough. That was one of my things. Like I just needed to see what was happening better. Then football hold might be a great position for you. The last position that I want to talk about that I personally loved, especially during cluster feeding or growth spurts or teething, is side lying. So I personally didn't practice this a lot when my baby was a newborn, probably just because breastfeeding still felt kind of unfamiliar to me. But when I trusted my baby to just latch on more, and I found that they didn't need as much like hands-on support with getting a deep latch, I enjoyed side lying position. However, when doing side lying, you want to make sure that you are in alignment because you're spending 10 to 20 minutes nursing your baby. You don't want to do that laying like all twisted up and around. So if you want to use side lying nursing position, just make sure that you are using ample pillows to support your back, your head, and your neck as you're laying down on your side in bed, and just use the bed to support your baby up to the breast. So these are just a few of the positions that you can use for breastfeeding. Ultimately, it is up to you to decide what feels right for you and your baby. And as the journey progresses and as your baby gets older, eventually they will come up with positions of their own. But just always make that you are in the line, your baby's in the line, and that you are supported so that you don't cause yourself back, neck, and shoulder pain. So I hope this video was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.